The added voice, coming to you, of Eddie Johnson that transpired on Monday. He served 35 years on the Chicago police force, 32 and a half years as a police officer and such, and then 3.5 years as the superintendent of the Chicago police. Since my last video, things have become a little more clear, or there's another story out, a little bit of Mr. Johnson's side, because she just fired him. But I'm gonna get to it, and I'm gonna tell you what I mean by she just fired him, didn't say nothing. Anyways, Eddie Johnson, who was fired as the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department for what Mayor Lori Lightfoot called a series of ethical lapses, defended himself Tuesday, saying that he has ended his career with my integrity intact. Quote, or quote, unquote. He says, and I quote, "I did not intentionally mislead or deceive the mayor or the people of Chicago," he said in a statement, unquote, while also acknowledging, quote, "I made a poor decision and had a lapse of judgment," unquote, in connection to an October incident in which he was found asleep behind the wheel of his car. He goes on to say, "That was a mistake, and I know that." Johnson, 59, added, "However, I have no interest in fighting a battle for my reputation with those that want to question it now. Reputations are not built in a day and not damaged in a day either. They are the result of years of living. We reap what we sow in this world." He makes a good point. Well, let me go on so there's more clarity. That way you understand why I'm irritated even more than I was in the first video. It's just sickening. Johnson's first public comments following his unexpected firing on Monday shed no further light on what occurred after midnight on October 17th, as well as in the hours leading up to his decision to drive home. Lightfoot has declined to share details about what happened that evening and how she says Johnson repeatedly lied to her afterwards. An investigation into Johnson's actions being conducted by the city's Office of Inspector General remains ongoing, although Lightfoot said the details in it may eventually become public. She said she reviewed the Inspector General's report and videotape evidence to come to her decision. Now, notice that. Let me read that again. She said, she, as in Mayor Laura Lightfoot, who's been the mayor of Chicago for 9.5, 10 months. She said she reviewed the Inspector General's report and videotape evidence to come to her decision. All right. A source confirmed to NBC Chicago that Johnson had been out to dinner that evening with a female colleague of the police department. The source also said Johnson has not yet seen the video to which the mayor is referring. Boom! So, she fired him, saying she watched a video that incriminated him, didn't ask him about it, because she says that he lied to her. Well, were you playing entrapment with him? Had you already watched the video? Did he lie to you? Or are you just lying about that? Why wouldn't he see the video? Why? See, I'm only 31 years old. I don't have the most knowledge, the most wisdom. I don't have the most experience. But every job I've had, which I've never been fired, but when people's been fired, if they got caught on camera doing something, guess what they're going to do first? They're going to take them in there. They're going to sit them down. They're going to turn on the video and show them what they did. That way there's no disagreement. There's no argument. There's nothing. They know why they're fired, so they can walk out the door. But the way Mrs. Mayor Lori Lightfoot did it, it's crazy. Something's not right. In announcing Johnson's firing, Lightfoot said he had, and here she quotes, or here I quote her, told me something that happened that night that turned out to be fundamentally different than what he portrayed to me and what he portrayed to members of the public. She goes on, perhaps worst of all, she said, Mr. Johnson has misled the people of Chicago. Monday, Lightfoot alluded to Johnson's actions having an effect on his family and didn't want to go into detail because I don't feel... Here's what she said. She said she didn't want to go out there and say anything and put it out in the public, blah, 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 blah. But then she says this, and it's like a red herring. It's a signal, and it's like, you're not going to say nothing about it, but you're going to throw a statement out there like that, which you know is going to have everybody jumping on it like, oh, he must have cheated. He must have done something really bad if it's going to affect his wife and his child. But anyway, she says, I don't feel like it is appropriate or fair to Mr. Johnson's wife or children to do so at this time. But you think it's fair. You don't think it's fair to tell the truth, put it all out there, but you think it's fair to, without any notice, fire this man after he has served this city for 35 years. Not to mention that he put in his retirement, and he probably would have been retired now, but he was willing to finish out the year, which means Monday, the story came out, he was fired. Between 28 and 30 days left. And he has full pension, full benefits. Chicago Sun-Times. Lightfoot said Johnson had later told her that he had a couple of drinks with dinner before the incident. Johnson told reporters in October that he pulled over because he wasn't feeling well, and that while he had changed out his old blood pressure medication, he failed to take his new prescription. Last month, Lightfoot continued to laud Johnson for his service in the department. He began his career as a patrol officer in 1988, the year I was born, actually. As he announced, he planned to retire as superintendent at the end of this year. But Lightfoot's announcement on Monday took the city by surprise. Yeah, duh. Now there's video that he didn't see that you seen. There was no talking to him or anything like that before you did this. You say he lied to you, but this was a couple months prior, some month and a half, something like that. In this statement, Johnson, a Chicago native who grew up in public housing, thanked both Lightfoot and her predecessor, Rahm Emanuel, who tapped him to lead the nation's second largest municipal police force in 2016 at a time of turmoil following the police shooting of a black teenager, Laquan McDonald. He also thanked the interim superintendent, former Los Angeles police chief Charlie Beck, who began his duties on Monday, as well as the people of Chicago who have, and he goes on to say, treated me with respect and decency during these past few years, even when we had disagreements about particular issues. At an unrelated news conference Tuesday, Beck said he remains friends with Johnson and will continue to seek his advice during this transition. And Johnson's friend, Beck, Mr. Beck, said, I'll say this, none of us are perfect, and everybody makes mistakes, but we have to live with that, Beck said. What do you think? I just think it's wrong. It's weird. Something's not right. You didn't give him a heads up. You could have said something. He hadn't even seen the video that you supposedly seen. You're saying he's lying to you, yet he told you that he drank a couple drinks at dinner. And in fact, I don't know if he's telling the truth because I don't know him. I'm not firsthand. I don't talk to him. I'm just going on what is being reported. But if you do get prescribed a higher blood pressure and a higher blood pressure medicine to combat your hypertension, and you take the lesser when you need the higher dose, it's not going to work as good. I mean, it is possible to have high blood pressure enough to where you pass out. That's very easy. Plus, he's 59 years old. He's been a police officer for 35 years. So since he was 24 till 59, he was in a stress-filled environment. He put his life on the line every single day he worked. And this is how he's repaid. You know, I'm going to say this. You shouldn't cheat on your wife and stuff like that. And if he did, then he did. But what kind of country are we going to be when you're fired after serving your country or your city, your state for 35 years and you get fired for cheating on your wife? If that's the case. The things we could talk about like that. You know, Nancy Pelosi said the impeachment inquiry was going to be a bipartisan inquiry and they weren't going to move forward unless it was. Well, we know that was a lie. That was a bald-faced lie. Because not one Republican voted for the impeachment inquiry. Not one Republican voted to move on to the Judiciary Committee. And matter of fact, 2 Democrats actually turned and voted against it. Anyways, that's the update. I just want to keep it updated. It's, you know, and this will show you that I care. I consider myself a Republican. Eddie Johnson's a Democrat. But I don't care. A lot of other people would. That's just one of the biggest problems with this country today. But I feel like this man got done wrong. And we need to support. I mean, we gotta support. We gotta support the people that put their life on the line every day to keep us safe in this country. There are some rotten apples, but by what is being reported and by what's came out so far, if him having an affair on his wife was the worst thing he did, then I'd say we've got it pretty good, considering a lot of stuff that has happened with corrupt police officers. Anyways, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get to that YPP, YouTube Partner Program. I want to get monetized. As soon as I get monetized, I get some money rolling in, I can buy better equipment. I'm already having better quality videos, thumbnails, and stuff like that. Plus, I got a good, huge, it's going to be my first super quality video. It's going to be on Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua. So, like I said, like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, I love ya.